All right, thank you very much. Well, it is not a lesson that any of us want to learn, but something we all deal with at some time, and that is losing a loved one. Stewart Welch, one of our regular guests here on Good Day Alabama, recently lost his father, and kind of prompted you to kind of talk about this. You okay?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
See you.
Yeah.
Your dad lived a long, long life.
He died 1 week shy of his 99th birthday.
How about that?
Yeah, we had an agreement he was going to get to 3 digits, but you know, he didn't make it.
So it kind of got you thinking about this subject, right?
Well, I'll tell you what happened is my mother died 5 years ago, and Dad and I went to plan her funeral, and then he did something unusual. He actually prepaid his own funeral. I can remember thinking at the time that that wasn't a very good idea, because I'm thinking time value of money, and I'm going to let them use my money. And then, of course, he passed away, and I remember calling Mayor Scott McBrayer, who is the head of Rideouts Valley Chapel, and said, you know, Dad prepaid this, and Scott said, Stewart, it's all taken care of. And I can remember what a relief that was for me. It was like the last bit of grace that he gave us. So in fact, he was right again. He would love to know that. And it just made it so easy for us.
Yeah, a lot of people are concerned about it. Our family does that too. You just don't want to leave that with your children or your loved ones having to worry about that. But you do have concerns about it, and you said you looked into, really, depending on what you do, there's no reason to be concerned, right? Yeah.
So the first thing I worried about is if you prepay and somebody moves out of state, what happens? And of course, Scott said, you know, in their case, there are 2,000 funeral service agencies across the United States that will honor that. So I think if you're prepaying, the first thing you want to do is make sure that those that if somebody was buried somewhere else, that those would still be paid by they're part of a network. You want to make sure of that. And so I think that, you know, that's really, really critical. And the alternative to prepaying is to actually pre-plan.
Right.
So it means you go through and make all the decisions about your service so that you don't leave it for somebody it's a really emotional time, I can tell you that.
Sadly, I've been through it too.
And there are lots of decisions. There are a lot of decisions that have to be made, very emotional. And so what we did was we put together some forms. And Janice, I didn't really know this until I started doing this work, but there's a form called an authorizing agent affidavit. And it's like a power of attorney. It's like a power of attorney form for financial matters. And you know, we've talked about that many times, but it allows you to name an agent who's going to be responsible for your remains. In fact, planning your funeral. And so, and that, a lot of times you'll have family members that are saying different things to the funeral service provider that they want done, and it can be very disruptive.
Yeah, at a time when it doesn't need to be. You're already hurting.
It doesn't.
So this allows it to be, this is legal?
It is legal.
It's in place?
It is a legal document. That one person is responsible for all the service arrangements, and so there's a point person. And then the second form is what I call last wishes and memorial planning form. That's where you get down into the details of what you want, whether you want to be cremated or where you want to be buried, or what kind of casket, and all those different things that you want to make. And so we put that together that they can access through your website or through our website. And it's at our website, it's under funeral planning forms. You go to the resource center, you go to the links in funeral planning form, and it's right there.
And you can download these
You can download these, yeah, you download these and print them out, and you need to be sure and give it to the agent, the person who designates the agent, or the family members that you think are appropriate to receive it. But, and I'll tell you, it's hard to make the decisions, but think of them, you making it instead of them, because they're under emotional distress, and it's very hard to do that.
A lot of our viewers have dealt with it. I have no doubt about that, as I have as well. Okay, if you want to learn more about that, you can find it at their website. We'll have it on our website as well.